Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock here, practicing necromancer. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about a topic that is not communicated a lot. In fact, it's rarely even touched upon. Master and apprentice. Throughout history, magi have always had an apprentice. Even witches, warlocks, brua, they've always taken on apprentices. Doesn't matter if you're into the African Caribbean tradition or you're into, say, for example, the European tradition, Western or Eastern philosophies. There's always been that bond, that special bond between master and apprentice. Today, well, I shouldn't say just today because it's actually been a few days now. I've been hanging around the dog park, and there's this one guy doesn't want to take instruction, doesn't want to get tips, if you will, on how to train a dog and how to discipline a dog. So I've been watching this now for a few days, in fact, for a while. People are amazed at how animals, cats, dogs, even kids, when I speak, it's actually kind of humorous because when I speak and I'm dead serious, they all tend to stop and listen like, whoa, okay, the alpha has spoken, you type thing, and it's funny because I want you to kind of consider this because there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Today, this guy shows up to the park. I'm there with Opal. I'm talking with two individuals, one of which that is taking care of a very, don't want to say sensitive pup, kind of like a pit bull combo, if you will. Very loving animal. Lost its owner. Ended up in the pound or the shelter. The owner comes in by herself, this new inheritor, and she really doesn't know much about dogs. So she comes in. There's one other person there at the time because people come and go with their animals all the time. So this individual comes in, and she tells us the story. And I said, she's in the car, isn't she? She said, yeah. I said, bring her in. Go ahead and bring her in. She brings this dog in. At first, the animal is showing shyness, kind of overabundance of aggression. And then she gets around me. I take a hold of the leash, pull down the hood, the hood to the jacket that's on her, and I start, just gently putting my hand down, bringing her closer and closer. Opal's sitting there sniffing, just watching. Next thing you know, she's playing with other dogs. She's coming around other people. You see, this is kind of saying, hey, you're in a safe place. This is a place where you can be who you are, what you are, and what you want to become. More so when you think about how you're interacting with these animals. You're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, you want to be fair, but you got to remember that you're the alpha. You are the dominant one. So, by giving the pup room to grow, to expand her or his horizons, you're actually teaching them, hey, you can stand on your own. It's okay to go around and sniff whatever, or to read or study or whatever. If you're talking wizards and warlocks and practitioners and stuff like that, it is okay to expand your horizons, but your loyalty is to your teacher, to your human. Okay? So you got this one guy that comes in, he brings this dog in, beautiful dog, just looking for that attention, that TLC, if you will. This guy literally just this type of thing. Nope, nope, nope. Not paying attention to you. But he'll address other people's animals. And this pup just jumping all over him. You try to instruct him. He doesn't want to accept it. You see, the difference between a student who is willing to learn and a student that is not willing to learn and remaining in stagnation is this. A good teacher will give enough slack that allows the apprentice to rise on their own, only giving instruction when need be. Guidance by a gentle hand. Today I was sitting there just letting Opal have her fun. Woman came in, seen her there maybe 2 or 3 times. She came in, get this brute of a dog, big dog, very very high energy, kind of a cowardice type dog, and dog's very happy, but more there's no discipline, needing training. I reached down, called after she gave me the leash, called his name. He's not going to come to you. Well, guess what? He did come to me. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. 3 times. Okay? Now, here it is. When I put my hand on the collar, he got a little vocal. She said, oh my God, let him go. He's going to get vicious. No. I put the leash on. I purposely walked him around the kennel. Kept the leash kind of tight. My arm relaxed, kind of pulled back a little bit. So the shoulder and the elbow is in line, but yet there's room to move. Okay. Now, she looked at me. She said, I've never seen him do that. Not once have I ever seen him behave like that. You did in less than 5 minutes what we have been trying to teach him for over 2 years. 2 years within 5 minutes. On her way out, I took hold of the leash, gave her instruction, and I literally held this dog with the leash in one spot. He kept trying to run out. He kept trying to get ahead. He kept trying to go left and right, whipping around. chaos. Here it is. When he realized he ain't moving until I want him to move. But I held on to that leash and I put my hand on his side and I told him to calm down. Calm yourself. Relax. He literally sat down, surprised the hell out of his owner. Never has he done that for anyone. Now, what can you get from this story? These two stories. What can you get from those two stories alone? Here it is. A teacher gives you the material and expects you to do the work. They're not going to do the work yourself. They're not going to sit there and go, well, I'm going to do the work for you. No. You have to do that work. But here it is. If you ever have questions or you have questions about, say, for an example, references, sources, maybe you're doing something that you need guidance on. A good teacher will give you just enough direction that it will guide you to where you're seeking. They're not going to hold that reins with an iron fist. They're going to sit there and hold it just enough to make sure that you're ready, that you're prepared. Have you ever wondered why that when you are in the police force or you're in the military, people have high respect for those that they serve with? How about the martial arts? The teacher and the student. Why is there always that respect, that high volume of respect? Why do animals respect their owners? When you take care of your pack, the pack will be there for you. Now you take my Papopo that's sitting right over here. Well, technically she's laying over here, I should say. Yesterday I took her out and I said, I'm going to get you the biggest bone you've ever seen. Just want you to behave for a few minutes so I can get my glasses adjusted. Well, she was good. And I took her over and got her this big ass fucking bone that literally sits across these arms on the rocking chair. Her eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. She'd never seen it. But yet, when she sees me, she gets excited. She comes over, gives lovings, jumps up and down, lays down at my feet. It's because I give her the attention that she wants, that she needs. But at the same time, she knows that I'm there for her. An apprentice, when you take on an apprentice, you need to have that understanding of patience. It's like being a father, a parent to a child. You got to remember that they're growing, they're learning, they're evolving. And when you think about what that bond is between a master and an apprentice, that's exactly what's going on. You're forging that relationship. You're forging that level of trust. Okay? More so when you have that knowledge and that wisdom, that expertise, you know what you're talking about. And people will recognize that. They will recognize that because they realize, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. I want to learn this. I want to learn from this guy. That pup today that was out of control, she literally had to let go of the leash. She could not hold him. But yet I made him obey me. I made him sit down, calm down. What's the difference? I didn't strike the animal. I didn't force him into submission. I simply held him in one place. Why? The moral of that story is this: he has to realize when it comes to learning, he's the apprentice. I'm the teacher. Therefore, as an alpha, he needs to obey me, not the other way around. My son's mother thinks that Opal is, well, not learning. I keep telling her, when you take her out for walks, you're letting her walk ahead of you. You're letting her lead, which makes her think that she's the alpha and you're the beta. You got to remember that obedience training is one thing, but teaching them to do the right thing, that takes time and patience. That takes TLC. The reason my apprentices come to me with their issues or whatever topics or whatever's on their mind is because I take the time, number one, to listen. Number two, I observe what they're saying and how they're reacting. Okay? When I train a dog, when I'm working with a pup, I look at the posture. I look at how they're standing, their eyes. Are they showing teeth? Is that tail up or down? You see, when a dog gets vocal, a lot of times people take that as a form of aggression. It's not aggression. They're just being vocal. They're talking. They're having fun. When that tail is up, it means that they are happy. They're playful. When they bow down with that ass up in the air, those paws spread out, that's them playing. Now, if that tail was down, their paws close together, their head down, and they're looking up at you, showing fang and growling, snarling like a rabid dog, then they're going to get aggressive. That's an aggressive stance. So, how do you break them of that stance? The more you look at them, lock eyes with them, the more aggressive they're going to get. But what would happen? What would happen if you sat there and you got down on their level and let them come to you? Let them realize you're not a threat to them. Now, some animals, some will take that as an opportunity to take a quick strike. It would be like looking at an adversary, an enemy, and saying, I'm going to lower my guard to show you some respect. Now it's up to that enemy to either strike or to reply in kind. Most people, most apprentices, when they realize, okay, I don't know everything, I don't know what you know, they're going to humble themselves. But there's a few, about 0.01% of an enemy that will never, never, ever will they relinquish control, nor will they sit there and learn and realize, hey, I'm an idiot. I'm not learning. I'm growing. I'm not even growing. I'm staying stagnant. I'm staying in the same old shit that I was in before. No wonder people don't want to be around me. No wonder I've lost all this ground. They don't want to grow. They don't want to learn. So when you think about what it takes to be a teacher, even as a teacher, somebody of my stature, for an example, I'll tell you right now, I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I know a lot. I've been referred to as a human encyclopedia. I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of insight, but you take a look at the amount of years, the hours, and the time it takes to master and to study everything according to a particular field of study. It takes a long time. You don't become a teacher overnight. This is something that you're forged into. I spent years, almost about 20 years, before somebody looked at me and said, "Have you ever considered the ministry?" Hmm. 2 years later, somebody looked at me and said, "I see you as an elder." An elder. That just happens out of the blue. But for them to see you as that elder, that means that you've earned their respect. That means you've earned the right to be named an elder. As a Satanist, I became a satanic priest, a deacon, a priest, and eventually I worked my way up to archbishop. But here it is. A lot of people, they don't understand the fact that you can't just read a book and call yourself a master. You got all these followers, but you're all flash. You're all flash. That's all it is. You can have a fancy little website to do your videos on, but it means shit without knowledge. It means nothing without experience. Take me as a practicing necromancer. I've been a necromancer now going on 7 years. 7 years. Four of which as a dedicated necromancer. I've learned more in those 6, 7 years than I ever did in the 25 years prior. Why? Because I stopped fixating on being liked or being popular. I let go of ego. More so, I delved further into the arts, to the practices, because I started applying a creed to my life. I started applying it to what I do in all aspects. It doesn't matter if I'm dealing with my personal family. My son's mother and I may not be together anymore, but she comes to me when the shit hits the fan. Not her parents, not all these other guys that she runs with, but me. Why? It's not because I'm her son's father. It's because I give her advice and I leave it up to her. I let her choose to either apply that wisdom to her life or not. I let her make her own decisions. Because when you get down to that nitty gritty, you're responsible for your own actions. With this new job, I told her, check with your elders. She's brought the pup in several times and she's already been spoken with once. She brought her back in today. She doesn't want to listen, but she'll come to me. It doesn't matter if it's applied or not. The fact that she comes to me shows a level of trust. And that's a bond that you can take to the bank. Why? Because that bond of trust and loyalty is going to take you a lot farther in life than having 10 backstabbers in your world. You can have 100 backstabbers or false friends. That one friend is better than all of them. But when you're talking apprentice versus and master, I don't consider myself a master. I just consider myself a practitioner, a career student. But you look at how many people come to me for advice. I have a lot of people coming to me for advice. In fact, recently I had somebody come to me from the past that I've never worked with, never had any dealings with. And yet she's apologizing to me up one side and down the other. Interesting how that goes. But here it is. Just be that leader. Just give the wisdom, give the advice, listen. Listen to how they speak, listen to their posture, watch their posture, listen to the words that they speak. And most importantly, if you want to be a good teacher, you have to know what you're teaching. Hands down. It's not about flash. It's not about gore. It's not about who studies what. It really isn't. When it comes right down to it, it's your personal growth. Teach them the same motto. The same motto. If you're a Satanist, do you think that all those those Satanists that follow that creed by Anton Zandalave, the COS, they talk the talk, but most of them today that just repeat that regurgitated materials, they don't follow it. They don't follow it. And then everybody wonders why the Church of Satan has become a laughing joke, a laughing stock of the satanic community. People hate the joy of Satan because they see things like the swastika on their websites and in their material. They're neo-Nazis. Can't be around them. Really? Why don't you study the material? And you'll see that it goes back so much further. In fact, 300 years before Adolf Hitler got hold of that swastika. It has a rich history that has nothing to do with neo-Nazism. But people don't want to learn. So when you get an apprentice that eagerly wants to learn, that's somebody that I'm willing to train. I'm willing to sit there and go, okay, you're going to put the work forth. You're going to do the work. You're going to show me that you're learning. Yeah, I'll teach you. I have one apprentice that's gone 3 years without working. because he's applied his knowledge to his own life. And now he's just getting back into work part time, per diem. I have another one that sits there, loves to read, just like I do, loves to study. Only comes to me once in the blue moon and says, "Hey, this is what I'm studying. Do you recommend this, or this?" And I'll give him that answer, an honest opinion. But even as a master, I'm also an apprentice. I am also the apprentice. Why? Because you being my apprentice, I too have a master. I too have somebody above me. In fact, I can tell you there's numerous people that are more powerful than I am. But here it is. The title you have to earn. You have to earn that right. You have to earn it. That means dedicated study, dedicated research, dedicated experimentation, dedicated appliance to your life. You got to do the work to get the fruits of your labor. Or did you think that biblical quote, since so many people hate the JCI, and personally, I don't hate the religion, I hate the people. I find the people taking something as good as the gnosis there and turning it into something vile. Because that's humanity for you. So, there's a biblical scripture that says, if you do not work, you do not eat. If you do not work, you do not eat. So think about that for just a minute. If you didn't plant the crops, nurture the crops, how would you grow your crops? How would you get the food that you're growing in the earth as a farmer? If you go to work and you don't know anything about baking, you don't know anything about opening a store, how do you expect to earn a living if you have not been taught? I've worked for two Dunkin' Donuts. I've worked for Tractor Supply, and I've worked as a manager for two other, you know, companies. I ran a trailer park, kept the maintenance and stuff going. But I've also been a manager, a warehouse manager. 25 years in custodial and warehousing. Been a firefighter for 4 years. Did some things that got my interest, but didn't last more than 3 years, such as learning martial arts. But what's ironic about that is now I'm taking those same disciplines from all those jobs and I'm applying them to my life. I have the respect of upper management, the owner, most of my coworkers, those that rely on my skills. But you got to remember that you're also going to butt heads with some people. There's two individuals that I've butted heads with in the last year. And all I had to do was flex my muscle once. End of story. Because all it takes is somebody willing to step up and do the right thing. The right thing. And force their hand. And all of a sudden, everybody's your best friend. Everybody's your best friend. But yet, I've got bakers and openers that come to me and say, "Hey, what do you think about this? How do I do this?" I've got bakers that sit there and look at me and say, "I'd rather work with you and have you teach me because you're patient, you're understanding." The other one doesn't. You're sitting here teaching me how to do the opening, and yet somebody else hasn't even stepped foot to even begin to teach. I've got upper management looking at me and say, "Well, you're already doing things of the shift leaders. You should actually have the title, the title, but we got to find a teacher for you." That's been a month, and yet I'm still here. Why? Because even today, I was sitting there talking to a district manager, and I put something forth, and I asked a question, and you know what she answered, and it actually made a lot of sense. So when I tell you that there's a bond between a teacher and an apprentice, I'm not joking. It's not just in the magical community. It's not just, you and an animal. It's not just you and your job. Hell, it could be even in your own family where you're teaching your child the difference between right and wrong. There's that connection and that bond that's going to be thicker than blood. It's going to be undeniable. That loyalty, that trust, it's always going to be there. And it's going to trump everything else. So when I tell you to be patient, I'm not I'm not sitting here telling you not to do something. I just simply want you to take your time. Take your time. Learn about the topics that you're interested in. Learn about it. Start gathering the info. Gather the materials that they speak of and start practicing it. If you end up with a dead end area where you're kind of baffled, come to the those who have practiced it. But like I said, a good teacher will tell you, "Hey, I don't know everything." A good teacher is going to look at you and go, "Well, give me I don't know anything about this, but give me about a day or two, and I'll have that answer for you." You see, that's actually happened to me in the past where somebody's come to me and it's like, "Huh, I don't know that. Give me a couple of days. Do all kinds of research, do reach out to some people, come back and go, hey, you know, my understanding of this, excuse me, my understanding of this is what it's about. This is what some of the sources that were recommended to me by some others that I know that do practice it. But through my own research, I've also come up with these references. So have fun, see where they lead you. Okay. But I'm not going to sit there and go, I'm going to blow smoke out my ass and just lead you on. Fuck that shit. Be real or be gone. That's the way I look at it. Be real or get out that fucking door. You know, you got so many people that want to learn magic. They want to learn sorcery. I got let me put it to you this way. In my cell phone, I was checking my messages this morning, my Facebook messengers. And I've got about four individuals right now, just within the last 12 hours, demanding that I teach them. Demanding. Teach me Satanism. I'm poor, going through hardships, lack of money, money problems. Teach me. No. I'm not going to teach you. You're arrogant. You're haughty. Teaching you what I know is like giving a child a loaded gun. Bad idea. Now, if you want to put yourself in a humble position, learn humbleism, get rid of your ego, and actually start doing the work yourself, doing the research. I mean, do you know how much information is on Google? Yeah, most of it is BS, but there's a few good facts out there. Some good facts. You can literally look at it and go, hmm, okay, cross referencing, these are in line, but this stuff isn't. Okay. I'm going to take this stuff that is not in alignment and get rid of it and consider it to be BS. But yet, because of all these are in accordance with one another, I'm going to follow them and see where it goes. You see, that takes dedication, commitment. It shows you're willing to put the work in. As a teacher, I look at my apprentices and I will give them from time to time homework because of what they've come to me with, what they've shown me that they're doing. And I will give them that one little lesson every so often that will benefit them for the next couple of months. You see, it gives them that ample opportunity to do the research, to expand their horizons, and to actually grow as an individual. That's a good teacher. When I look at my elders, anytime I've gone to them, it's taken, maybe a day or two for them to reply, but they do reply. And sometimes that gnosis is overwhelming, it's thought provocative, and it gets you to sit back and go, huh, I have never considered that. I did not consider that at all. I'm going to have to try that. Huh. I'm going to have to look into that. That's what a good teacher does to an apprentice. But that apprentice will always be there for the master and to work with that master because of the fact that the more they grow, the more they learn. The more they learn, the more they grow. The more they grow, they're representing you in your teaching. Think of it as the history of a coven. Look at how many times well, let's look at it from a Hollywood perspective here. How many people have played James Bond? 007. Look how many people have played the Joker. Look at how many people played Batman. Look at how many people have played Superman. Now, personally, Henry Cavill played the best Superman, in my opinion. Heath Ledger, hands down, the best Joker. But yeah, if you're talking the Joker, you've also got to go with the original badass himself, Jack Nicholson. Now, there was one Joker that came before, but I couldn't really feel that character in the original Joker. But Jack Nicholson, he brought the clown aspect, that clowning around aspect to the character. But it was Heath Ledger that really brought out that darkness, that badass, sociopathic, badass tradition of what the Joker in the comic books were. Not just that, but also the TV series, the anime, and everything. He was a cold-blooded killer, but he was known for being an alchemist. He was known for his concoctions, his jokes, his pranks. But he had this violent temper. Heath Ledger brought that side out, just like Jack Nicholson. So you got two different people playing the same character. Magnificent to watch them both. You look at how many people played Batman. You got to go with Eric Bana playing Batman. His version of Bruce Wayne and Batman, going through that emotional turmoil of living in two worlds, only to be sit there and go, I'd rather be Batman over Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is dead. Hence why after the third one, starring Bane and the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, he basically disappeared. you know, so this is what happens. Okay, I feel like there's a hair on my face. It's weird. I don't see any hair, but it feels like there's a hair somewhere around my nose and my goatee section of my face here. It's kind of weird. Um, but yeah, so you look at the history of things. The master and apprentice is the same way. It's that bond. It's the knowledge of what you represent, what you're leaving behind. So what you teach your apprentice, they're going to teach apprentices. They're going to bring their own apprentices in, and they're going to teach them the same values and the same morality as you taught them. That is what is impressive about being a master, about being a teacher. Now, I didn't expect to become an elder of the community. I didn't expect people to look at me and go, hey, I see you as an elder, or so and so speaks so highly of you. I go into a pagan store and watch the owner or one of the employees trying to talk about the gemstones or certain things about protection, and it's like they really aren't getting the full grasp of the knowledge of what can be used for protection. So you look at the customer and you say, hey, I would recommend this, and this, and also you got a bunch of stuff here that you can use at this facility. You know, it's just some things for you to take into contemplation on and to take to heart. But here it is. She's not. This person's not wrong. There's a lot of different ways and methods that have been employed for protection. Defensive magics. But there's also been a lot of things put forth and put into play that is offensive, not just defensive. Things that are considered to be wrathful or baneful sorcery. Things for personal gain. Things that can benefit your life within the workforce or in your family situation. Like I said, those who you've taught, those who you've been there for, you end up over time developing your own pack, your own litter, if you will, if you're talking cats or dogs. So when it comes down to it, look at it like this. There is a unique bond between an elder and a beta. That's the best way I can tell you. If you're going to teach, do it with a code, do it with a reason and a long term applications. You know what I'm saying? Do it with honor, integrity, and respect. You got to know that it's all about the knowledge. It's about keeping things pure, not diluted, not corrupted, but purity of that knowledge, the ways of that, because that is your responsibility. All right. With that said, I'm going to take Opal out for a walk, and before her mama comes to pick her up, that's if I can tear her away from that big ass bone. Wow, she's really going to town on that thing. That thing is bigger than her. But yeah, you see the point though. You don't have to force somebody into submission. Just guide them gently. The rest will take its course. But don't be ignorant. Don't be arrogant. Just be the elder. Be the leader. People want to be guided, they want to be shown the way. But you got to remember that the best way to learn is to jump out of that pan and into the fire. The reason Opal is so down to earth is because I've shown her, hey, I'm the one in command, but I'm willing to work with you. It's like working with the upper management at your work. It's about that compromisation. It's about being that leader. So, whatever you do, always keep those horns up. Always back up what you're saying with multiple sources, and always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for the things that you do and say. All right? With that said, have a good night, and until next time, I'm out.